Thank you again for joining this evening for our program, What's Next for Ballston. But before we begin the program, I'm going to beg your indulgence, as this is my final program as Committee of 100 Chairperson. I want to take a few moments to share some reflections with you all. And I'd like to start by sharing my favorite photo from a Committee of 100 meeting. So this photo is from our 2016 visit to Discovery Elementary, and it was shortly before my term as chair started. And looking back, I think it's an apt image for that time, because starting a role like this is a bit like a grown adult in a suit going down a slide designed for kids. The promise of a great ride, tinged with a bit of, how's this going to go? Now at the end of my term, I can say that this has been a terrific experience. And I owe that effort to so many of the people in this room. It's been a great ride. And if this was the before picture, here is the after. And the only thing left to say, thank you, Arlington Independent Media. We're really excited to be meeting this evening here in Ballston. In fact, we've been eyeing this space ever since Marymount began the project to replace the Blue Goose with a modern academic building. Look at the view! And indeed, Ballston itself is changing. Trains line the skyline. Many universities, not just Marymount, have centers in the next block or so, lining Glebe Road as an academic center. New businesses are forming, new streetscapes are seeking to change the feel of the neighborhood. Ballston Quarter will open later this year, presenting a new shopping experience at the center of the neighborhood. And just this last week, Ballston welcomed a new resident, someone named Stanley. Last name, Cup. We last gathered in Ballston 3.5 years ago, with an eye to these changes as a prospective future for this neighborhood. And now we're back to see how these plans are progressing and what lies ahead. And to help us answer these questions, we are pleased to welcome 3 speakers. First, we'll be joined by Tina Leone, the CEO of Ballston Business Improvement District, or BID for short. Tina has been CEO of the BID since 2011 and serves on the board of numerous community nonprofit organizations in Arlington. Next, Will Vogel will join us. Will is the Senior Vice President of Development for Forest City, the developer of Ballston Quarter. Will has been with Forest City since 1989 and has been Senior VP of their DC area operations since 2014, shortly before the Ballston Quarter project. And finally, to get a sense of new businesses growing in Ballston, we will welcome Brett Snyder, the CEO of Knucklepuck, a digital marketing agency based here. Brett founded Knucklepuck 4 years ago with an eye to correcting what he saw as a disconnect between marketing agencies and their clients, and now has a team of more than a dozen, many of whom are with us this evening. All right, enough of me. Let's get started. Please join me in welcoming Tina Leone, CEO of Ballston.
Well, thank you for having us back. 3.5 years ago, we were on the cusp of a transformation, and now we're in the midst of it. And then on top of that, we had the Caps win. So this is all, like, Ballston is like very, very hot right now. So there's a lot to talk about, but I'm going to try to do this very, very quickly. You know, our bid is, we're the smallest of the 3 bids in Arlington. Our budget is about $1.6 million, and my staff, including Samantha Baker, who's here with me today, raises another $500,000 or so on top of that. So we can make our money go as far as possible to put into the public realm. We are only commercial properties in our bid, so that means office and retail properties. We are working, however, we're working on an initiative with our apartments as well to come in under a membership basis, because we really feel like sustainability-wise, we need everybody in our bid. Our community is not just employees, office properties, employees, it's everybody, right? We all have a stake in this neighborhood. So, that being said, there are 5 of us now. We used to be 4. We had Allie Kraft was our communications coordinator. She has moved on to a new position, and we've hired Tyler and Savannah. So we're excited to have them. They're doing a great job. For us, it's all about connections. That's really where our whole strategic plan has come, is creating strong connections among us, to the place, to each other, via technology, via our events, which include our farmers market, of course, which was the most popular event that I think any of the bids probably have. 90% of the people that we surveyed over 1,200 people here in Ballston, 90% know and visit the farmers market. It is a place where the community gathers. So we're very proud of that, and we keep working to make it better. We do a mega market the first Thursday of each month, and Samantha is in charge of our farmers market, so you gotta give her credit for that. She's done a fabulous job with that. We also bring people together through our happy hours. These are free. All of the events that we host are free. So that's the first thing right there. And most of them involve alcohol, so we usually get a good turnout. So our civic mingles are now over 200 or so people that attend on a quarterly basis. And we have a charitable aspect to everything now. So our civic mingles, you will meet a new charity when you come and visit us with our at those happy hours. We also do food truck days, which actually we do right out here. Bring some food trucks in for our office employees. Our big event that you know about is Taste of Arlington, which just happened. We've grown that event. We have over 30,000 people attend. And because we created a charitable subsidiary called Ballston Gives, we now have raised over $200,000 in the last 5 years or so to give back to our charitable partners that work in Ballston. So organizations like Arlington Food Assistance Center, Arlington Street People's Assistance Network, Volunteer Arlington, we partnered with them, and we believe it's very important to give back to our community because they do things that we just can't do. Our streetscape, you probably noticed on Fairfax Drive, the work that we've done on the medians. We've done some new plantings. We put in a new decorative pedestrian fence, gateway signage. We're still working to include our annuals twice a year. We do annual plantings. We have just started to install our banners on Fairfax Drive. I think just today, right? Today and tomorrow. You'll see some new banners on Fairfax Drive. Hi, Marianne. So these are custom designed banners. Eventually we'll have them lit, so we'll have some more ambient lighting, more for safety purposes here in Ballston. So that is happening as we speak. Also, of course, we do some art projects. Some of the things that we've done recently is a historic walking tour of Ballston. We have an app for that. So you can learn about the history of Ballston as you cruise, you stroll around Ballston on your lunch hour, etc., or whatever. We also have a location where music tour. So we have custom designed music just for Ballston. So you can enjoy that too as you walk around, maybe go on a dog walk or hang out. This is a project that we're working on called Intersections that is in the Ballston Metro Canopy. We had just really started to gain some momentum on this project 3.5 years ago. We've now got the actual plans, and we are working with county staff because they are renovating the Metro Plaza, and we're going to tag on this project towards the end of their renovations. So this will be an interactive light art installation in the Metro Canopy. Of course, you can always connect to us. That's a big thing that we're about. Ballston Connect, our mobile app, has everything that's going on in Ballston, our events, the restaurant listing, parking, food trucks, what's coming, all kinds of things on the mobile app. So if you want to know what's happening, this is a great way to find out. We launched our Ballston Connect podcast this year, so we've been talking to some of our great minds here in Ballston, you included. We've talked to like Scott Parker and Kelly Shushan to get their perspectives, and maybe dive a little deeper and learn a little more about them that maybe you didn't know, and get some background about how they do their business and what's in line for Ballston coming. And we are the first neighborhood in this entire region to offer free fast gigabit per second Wi-Fi. We've completed phase 2 about a year ago, and now we've implemented phase 1, We've now implemented phase 2, so we have another gigabit coming in, and that's through a partnership with our county, which we're very proud of. There'll be a phase 3 to this as well, but now pretty much throughout the entire business improvement district, you have fast free outdoor Wi-Fi.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Ballston 360, this is our directory, our online directory. And I encourage you to check it out. This is Google Maps on steroids for Ballston. So everything you want to learn about Ballston in each building, the restaurants, everything is listed on there. Our future, so very quickly, and you know how many things are happening. Well, this is now present, Marymount. We're here, we're in the building. 3.5 years ago, this was being talked about. And I mentioned already our Metro Plaza. So we'll have some reorientation of the buses off of Stewart Street onto Fairfax Drive, which is great, relieves some back congestion on Stewart Street. Some new shelters, real-time information coming in, new seating, new plantings, new everything. So we're very excited about our Metro Plaza. And then Central United Methodist Church redevelopment right across the street. The church is now, this is one of the only projects that has dedicated affordable housing here in Ballston. Of course, I think this big issue right now in the county, we know we need more of this, but we're getting some of that here. So we're looking forward to that project. And then carpool redevelopment, there's a big hole in the ground right now, and it's gonna be a big hole for a while. They tell me it's gonna be about a year for them to build the entire parking garage, because they have to go down so far. But we'll have some new apartments there. And then 4040 Wilson is coming. This is the first vertical mixed-use building in the county. We'll have Vita Fitness in there. Just heard that we are probably signing a restaurant. Kevin Shushin wouldn't tell me who it is, but they're coming. Then we have, I think it's 10 stories of office, and Avalon Bay is going in there. So we were able to retain Avalon Bay, which is a great win for Ballston. And that says a lot, that they could have gone anywhere, but no, they chose to stay here. So very proud of that. And then of course more apartments and another look there. This is going to really complete the whole Liberty Center on that side. We're going to have some more parks, plaza area, more areas for us to program as a bid as well with some events. 750 North Glebe, this was a really big hole that's all of a sudden now out of the ground. I walked by like, woo, that was fast. So this is almost 500 units, 500,000 square feet. This is where we're going to have Target coming in. We're going to have Silver Diner coming in. And Enterprise Rent-A-Car is going to come back. They used to be in that spot, so they're coming back now. And they did a really nice job breaking this up. This is a very big piece of property. And then next to that, 672 Flats is just about done, right? Right, Sam? The skin is on, and I believe we might be getting another fitness type of organization coming in there for retail. So that is there. About Ballston Exchange. These are our former NSF buildings. Jamestown is, you can see the work already underway now. Kava is open already. They've already announced some of the others. There's a coffee shop coming in, another independent coffee shop, etc. So they're well on their way to repositioning those buildings. And then I am almost on time. Over the next, this is actually really over the next 3 years, we're going to have 2,000 new apartment units here. Again, revamped space, because I'm not going to steal Will's thunder. He's going to talk all about Ballston Quarter. That's the other big game changer for us as well. But a lot happening here in Ballston. We are, as I said, we're hot right now. So we hope that this will help us, fill up this office space, get our tax base evened out better. And we're really looking forward. We've got a very bright future ahead of us here in Ballston. So stay connected to us. Get on our evenings list and social media, connect with us there. So keep informed about what's going on. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I was getting worried because I didn't see Ballston Quarter. I'm thinking, where's the project? I was feeling a bit left out. But how amazing, how wonderful, how affirming to see everything that's going on here, and not just around us where there are cranes on all 3 sides of our project. It's incredible. So if you're driving or walking down that way, it is frustrating. I appreciate all your patience. But there are some amazing things coming in Ballston, and we are so proud and so thankful to be a part of that. So I just want to share a little bit. Scott was very clear about how much time I have today, so this is the shortest presentation I think I've ever given, and far shorter than anything I've ever shown the county board before. But Forest City Realty Trust is essentially an offshoot of a wonderful family-owned business, Forest City Enterprises, New York's Stock Exchange listed company, about $6 billion company. We are very much about placemaking. And we're very much focused on core markets, and this is one of them. So projects here, in fact, if you know the yards in DC, that's really a flagship for us. And that's exactly what we like to do. We like to take places that we think are ready and are right and completely transform them by bringing the right people, the right products, the right partnerships together, and creating places for people to live and work and shop and play and dine and everything else. And that's really ultimately who we are. And we've been around since 1920. With that in mind, we were involved in the original development of Ballston Common Mall in the 1980s. We partnered with essentially May stores at the time and built from what was Parkington, a kind of classic interior 3-level brick, opaque edifice that looked in like shopping malls did for so many years, and that was a successful project for us. It included an office building, and then ultimately we expanded it with Regal Cinemas. So 32-year-old suburban shopping mall, and as we grew up and the world around us grew up and the world changed with retail, our sales began to decline, and we knew there was an opportunity to do something here. The real turning point for us was when we purchased that store you see in the foreground, which was originally JCPenney and then became the Macy's Furniture Store. That allowed us to envision a true mixed-use project with a 400-unit residential building on that site, and an opportunity to take this 1980s mall and take the roof off and turn it inside out and really create a place for people and for activities and for shopping and dining and so on. And that was our goal. Interestingly, that was a very lofty goal. It required a very important partnership with the county, which I'll speak to here in a second. So to understand the development, close to 1 million square feet, 350,000 square feet of that represents the leasable area of the stores that we have. Now remember, Macy's is still there and stays open. CVS actually remodels before it's over. Sport and Health completely renovates and becomes One Life Fitness. And Regal Cinemas puts another $3 million in, most of which they've done already, putting in the reclining seats. So even the players that stay are becoming new again for us. So 350,000 square feet of retail, 22-story, 406-unit residential unit apartment building full of a lot of amenities. We're renovating our own office building, which is there on the right side in this view. And really, to do this project right, it was critical to look around at all the public infrastructure and the opportunities that we had to improve and to enhance that whole public realm. And that's really where the partnership with the county came in. Everything from a new pedestrian bridge. The county walked in the door with us one day and said, what would you think about narrowing Wilson Boulevard, creating a bigger promenade, getting rid of the trees that were in the middle that kind of separated the two sides. All those things were part of this collaboration that we've had that's been so successful for us and are all part of what we're doing, including completely renovating the inside of the garage. So new lighting, the new smart parking systems where when you drive through you see the red light and the green light. When you drive in it says there's 2,020 spaces available. All of that stuff is coming. So if you're a parker and you like that garage, it's only going to get better. This is a little bit of before and after. So on the left is the old Ballston Common Mall, kind of the atrium space. The food court was down below, and that was sort of the feature elevator. But classic kind of, 1970s, 1980s mall design. On the right is literally the exact same part of the project, but we took all of that area that was atrium space, we took the roof off of it, and we said that we want this to be an outdoor plaza. We want it to grow right out of the sidewalk. We want it to be the place that you go to sit and eat and maybe watch an acoustic band or the holiday choir sing, and essentially surrounded by that plaza are restaurants on all sides and Quarter Market, which I'll talk about in a minute, which is the replacement for the food court. So this is just one part of this public space that's so important to us and really so important to the community. This is the old food court. Food courts is almost a term you don't hear anymore because I think people are looking for more interesting, more exciting, healthier options, more interactive and so on. And for us, that's Quarter Market. Quarter Market has 18 venues. These are the best of the best local people we could find who we thought just had the absolute most exceptional food. Some of these people might have had only a food truck, but if they had the buzz, we talked to them about bringing them here to Ballston Quarter to be a part of our market. So Quarter Market will be this very rich, kind of hip, industrial sort of feeling space where you can meander through and sort of discover all kinds of different places to eat. You can actually have a glass of wine. And again, this sits right next to that plaza that looks out onto Wilson Boulevard. So again, I talked about the project itself. These kinds of projects are rare. These kinds of opportunities are rare. And with the right vision and the right investment, they have tremendous value that they can create. So this is a $350 million project. The kind of value that it created, you see there in the third bullet, is represented by the incremental sales, meals, real estate taxes that the project creates. That was key because it had significant value to Arlington County. And really, I think part of why we see a lot of what's going on directly around us is because of the confidence that people have that Ballston Quarter is going to have a meaningful impact on what we're doing in Ballston. So certainly not putting too many pats on our shoulders here, but I think this was such an important opportunity, and it was such an opportunity for a catalyst that again, we were able to structure a very important partnership with the county that gave us the ability to do the project. And that discussion continues because projects this big have challenges, so we'll come back to the board at times to work through things, and that's been a very productive relationship and something we're very proud of and thankful for. That's really the story. In fact, I'm 2 minutes early, so I'm excited that the orchestra didn't start playing. But I look forward to your questions, and again, very excited to be a part of this community. We love what's going on in Ballston. This fall, we open the doors to the retail phase, and our residential phase will open early next year. And we're just very excited to be here and to show you what we have to bring. So thank you very much.
I'm here to kind of just talk about my experience having a business here in Ballston. So as Scott mentioned, my name is Brett Snyder. I'm the founder and CEO of Hub. We're a digital marketing and web services agency. And so we do SEO, paid media, copywriting, social, website development. Really anything that allows a business to be able to gain visibility online, that's the kind of stuff that we want to handle for our clients. A little bit of my background, I started doing the SEO work, search engine optimization. I worked at agencies from Philly to Atlanta, and in that whole experience, I found that there was something lacking in the agency-client relationship. And we kind of are symbiotic beings in the sense that our agency doesn't continue to get retained if we don't drive results for our clients. And so we can't have our own metrics independent of our clients. There has to be alignment there because our budget is funded by the results that we produce. And I went through a number of different agencies that I had great experiences with, but I felt that that disconnect was just something that wasn't there for me. And so in May of 2014, I set out to build a better mousetrap. And so I started the company out of my townhouse in Falls Church. So January of 2015, we hired our first employee. And September of 2015, I actually brought on investment partners that came with a significant capital injection to the company. And the idea behind that was to be able to accelerate the growth of the company, allowed me to bring on my content team, my paid media team, and web development. It's also where my Ballston story begins. Because when we go from 2 to 12 people over the span of a couple of months, we got to have somewhere to put them. I couldn't put people on my couch in my townhouse. We couldn't fit more than 2 people in tech corner space out in McLean. And so we started looking at different areas. DC was cost prohibitive to invest in from a business standpoint. The business would not have been profitable if we were located in DC. And so I knew we wanted to be in Virginia. We looked at Alexandria, we looked at Tyson's, we were out there early on in the company, looked a lot around Arlington, Roslyn, and Clarendon, and eventually landed on Ballston. And so I'd like to give a little bit of the rationale that brought me here, and then really spend more of my time talking about what's keeping us here and where we see Ballston going. One of the big things that brought us here was just, frankly, the financial incentives of affordable rent. The leasing terms were convenient. But more than that, the building, which is actually that one, we're right across the street. So I was happy that this is a new space for us. So we watched this go up. We walked past it as it was being constructed. But one of the big things that really brought us here is that the building gave me a $200,000 allotment to do our own build out. So we came to our space completely blank concrete slate. but we got the opportunity to put our fingerprint on it. And as a marketing agency, I think you can see how that would appeal to kind of our sensibilities, but it really gave us an opportunity to say, we want to make an impact here. We want our impact to be known. We want to be able to craft a space that's going to allow us to recruit and retain the type of people, the type of talent that's going to allow us to realize the vision of the company. And your office space and where you go is a big part of that. And so when we started looking at all those pieces, we were able to do the full build out. It allowed us to be able to create an open space. It allowed us to have events where we can host networking activities and be able to meet the other people in our building. And so having that space, there was a big piece that brought us here. And that kind of segues into a larger, kind of fundamental pillar of the way that I have tried to build a company, and everybody, we've got, I think, 4 people from Knuckle Puck here today. And a lot of what brings everybody to our company is we have a very intense commitment to work-life balance. I really people talk about it all the time, and they talk about this idea of work-life balance as a goal. When in reality, for me, it's a constant endeavor. It's like a relationship. You have to fall in love with your significant other every day. You have to work on it as circumstances change, as personalities change. And a big part of being in Ballston has allowed us to be able to deliver a work-life balance that is appealing to our team. One of the biggest issues that shows up on employee satisfaction surveys for as long as I can remember has been the challenge of a commute. Commuting is one of the most draining aspects of anybody's professional career. There are studies that show that there's a correlation, between how far away somebody lives from your office and how long they're likely to stay at your company. And so having 66 right here, having the metro down the corner, being able to have it run right through the center of the community here and be very, very accessible, and not spend half your commute just trying to get on the highway or get to the metro. One thing I would love to see happen here is, I know we've talked to our building about it, but being able to have some more negotiation for parking garages. I know I've talked to our building and said if we can do a group rate, I may, as a business owner, have a financial incentive to offer that as a perk for my staff, to be able to encourage recruitment and retention of that team. And so these are some things that I know that we want to be working on to be able to advance our vision of the community. Another big thing that's important for us is this idea of having a social life. Right? Especially for our team, especially for our staff, and I know that this is how I met Tina and Sam. We spend a lot of time at these networking events. But beyond the networking aspect is having an area for us to go and do things outside of the office. I am a Villanova alum, so if there's any basketball fans here, know it's been a good couple of years for us. But every year that we've been here during March Madness, we close the office at 5 o'clock and we go to Buffalo Wild Wings. And we sit and we spend time together as a team, and we get to know each other that go beyond our professional roles in the company. So instead of looking at the lead developer on a project or the copywriter or the support, you really get to know people at a deeper level, and Ballston has provided that for us. Now we talk about happy hour. I know Anthony on our team is always pushing for us to go to A-Town, to the point where it's become almost an inside joke for our company, because we know it's his thing, and it's a part of what brings us together. And that's really, really compelling, because you have bars, you have restaurants everywhere, but the community of Ballston has really been one that's been very inviting for us and something that makes us want to participate in these pieces. Tina mentioned the Ballston Connect podcast. Their first episode was with Scott Parker, who owns A-Town. You get to learn about the investment that he's been making and the investment that other businesses are making in the area. A lot of what we've done up to this point, or what I've talked about up to this point, has been the investment we've made in our team. And so what I'm focused on next, and my big goal for the rest of this year, is to be able to look externally and start to cultivate stronger partnerships in terms of business development. For all intents and purposes, we are a local business, but we're a digital company. The overwhelming majority of our clients, the overwhelming majority of our revenue comes from businesses that are not just based in Arlington, not based in Virginia, DC, and Maryland, not based in Eastern Standard Time. And it's a product of being a digital company, but there's something to be said about those local relationships. And it's not even the get in the room with somebody and you'll be able to build a better relationship with them. That's something that everybody knows, but frankly, our process doesn't change if our clients are 2 miles down the road or 2,000 miles across the country. Most of the conversation is still over email or phone, but we have the opportunity and we have a bond that comes with sharing a hometown, sharing a place that we all call home. And it's not even rational, necessarily. Again, our process doesn't change. We're still on the phone, we're still over emails, we're still over video conference. but there's a bond that we share, and the power of that network as it spreads across your local community is really astonishing. And I think it's something where everybody knows now that people don't stay at companies forever anymore. That goes for our team as they get new and exciting opportunities to pursue, but it also goes for our clients. And the power of that network when somebody goes to a place that's maybe on the other side of Arlington, they bring your reputation with them. And so that network becomes exponentially more valuable because you have a higher likelihood of actually utilizing it. Now, I have a lot of people that I know, I have a lot of people that I've met in California. I will talk to them twice a year that I'm in California, maybe. But the people that we meet here, the people that go and take other jobs and bring our reputation with them, we have the opportunity to expand our business. We have the opportunity to kind of apply an exponential growth to our network. And so that's kind of where we're at now. The thing that I know we've pushed our team on is really just participation. I think that's something that we're really excited for. I've got 4 people here today. We have Tessa taking pictures so that she can be promoting on social and getting the word out about the Committee of 100 and about Ballston and everything that's going on here. Because I'm a marketing guy. I said at the very beginning, I'm a big believer in going out there and making an effort and making sure that you can make a positive contribution to whatever it is you're doing. And if you make active, regular contributions, it doesn't have to be a Super Bowl commercial. But making regular, active contributions in your community is the same as making those contributions in your brand or your business. And it really does pay dividends for us. We've seen it. I'm excited for this year to get more involved with the bid, to get more involved with some of the development that's going on here, so that we can continue to create that fingerprint, that footprint that knows that we made a positive contribution. Thank you for your time.
I'd like to invite all 3 of our speakers to join us at the table here. Questions? Get over here.
My question is, when Tyson is going to be built up and more developed, what kind of relationship this place would have? And also, Crystal City, also another big development we are expecting. So Crystal City and here, Tyson's Corner, and what kind of particular special position that you can build up here?
So if I understand the question, I think what you're saying is, what is it that we're doing that can make us special when we look at what's around us like Tyson's?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I will just add that for us, for our project, we didn't want to be and really couldn't be another Tyson's Corner, another major mega mall type project. And what we wanted to be was more intimate and more regional and local, and more focused on the community, and more highly curated. There are fewer national brands that we're bringing to our project because for what the opportunity is that we have, while we have some nationals, we're really looking for the best of the regional and the local, and that is what makes us special. We're also very focused on food and beverage, and very focused on an experiential environment. So we want our place to be the place the community goes. When you bring your relatives to town, I want you to come here, I want you to see how this place feels, I want you to hear the music, I want you to see the activity. So, and again, it's a classic mixed-use project, so it's very much about walking and experiencing everything that you have. So all those things are very different, than what you're going to see in a classic sort of mega mall environment, if that's really the question you're asking.
Okay.
So, if you're looking at overall in the community, the higher level as a community, Tyson's is a very different animal from us, and Crystal City is also a different animal. We are light years beyond. We're a mature, more development. I would say our community has been well planned since 1980. That's the county planned it back in 1980, and it's happened. So I would say we are more mature, like a DuPont Circle. They've matured. They've gone, they're more established. That's how Ballston is right now. Crystal City's undergoing a huge evolution. The whole thing. JBG bought basically the entire city. You're talking about 26 plus buildings they have. So they have a huge command of what's going to happen there. And I think that's going to happen actually much faster than what you're going to see in Tyson's. That's my prediction. Tyson's going to take 20 years. But I think Crystal City is going to have a lot faster, especially if Amazon HQ2 comes in. That's going to be, and then we'll talk to John and Libby over here about how that's going to come, what we're going to do with that. I don't disagree with you, but I think Ballston is very special. And I talked to urban analysts about HQ2, and they said the best place for them to be would have been Ballston because of our mix, because we're a balanced community, because Ballston corridor. This would have been the best place for Amazon to come, the most desirable place. But it's not an option because we're a more mature community. We don't have the space that they need. So it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. But just rest assured, you're in the best place you could be in Arlington, in Northern Virginia.
One of the questions you all proposed to us, that Fairfax Drive would only be for walking, not for any cars. Is that still going to be?
Did we say that?
Yeah, they said it. In fact, I don't remember how many streets were going to be closed because it was all going to be pedestrian walking. And they also said that we were going to have retail stores that we've never heard of.
Oh, well, I can let Will talk to retailer, because that is true. You will have some retail that you haven't had.
Fairfax Drive is going to be.
That was never in our plan, so I apologize if people got the wrong impression about that, but that's not what we had talked about. There may be some opportunities for pedestrian-only thoroughfares, but they won't be on Fairfax Drive or Wilson. Those are major thoroughfares, or Lee Road, they're just major thoroughfares. But we do our best to make things, we will be working much harder on Fairfax Drive in particular to make it more pedestrian-friendly. And I think that's probably where it's a misconception. We talked about slowing the traffic down a little bit because Fairfax Drive is very fast. So is Glebe, for that matter. Glebe, I think, needs some serious work. But again, Fairfax Drive, we need to calm it down a little bit because people feel like it's almost like a highway. You can go 50 miles an hour easily on Fairfax. So, and we want people to slow down. We want Fairfax to become a place that you kind of stroll and you enjoy yourself. Wilson's our retail street. That's where the action is. So I'm going to let Will talk to the retail part of that.
Again, I would just say that we don't want to bring the limited and the Gap and all those names that and we've announced a bunch of names, a bunch of wonderful restaurants, and hopefully a lot of them because you've been to their food venues. But we have places like Steadfast Supply, which is kind of a startup retailer that brings in some of the coolest clothing and just jewelry, and a lot of it is made with artists that are either here or in the region. Potomac River Running, we have a bunch of people, and I don't have my press releases in front of me, all those names on the tip of my tongue. But I'm proud to bring some stores here that are exceptional retailers that aren't just the guys you typically are going to see in the shopping mall.
And you can, BallstonQuarter.com has a list of all the retailers. They've announced 22 restaurants so far, and five of the retailers, and then 4 or 5 more of the entertainment venues: Cookology, Punch Bowl Social, 5 Wits. So some really cool, interesting, fun things to do. So definitely the kids, grandkids, yourselves, us. I think we're already planning a staff team. We have to have a bonding experience over there. so it's a lot of fun. So we plan to. Yeah. And Brett just joined our board, so he'll have to come too.
I've already built a Ballston scavenger hunt. That we'll do with our team.
Yeah.
Businesses here, so we've got some cool stuff.
Will the Stanley Cup be enshrined in the Kentland complex? And will I be able to kiss it?
Yes, if I have anything to say about it, but I'm sure I don't. We love the Kettler Capital Iceplex, and we just put a big sign up in our office lobby that says congratulations to the Cap. So really proud of that relationship, and the truth is we're doing things to better connect ourselves to the Iceplex, so that all the 1 million people that come there a year can come to where we are, and vice versa. So absolutely, very excited about where we are today.
What's in it for me as a old guy who will look for a place to leave the house and move into another place? What's in Ballston for me?
So you're in a single-family home, is that what you're?
Yeah.
Yes. So I think, I know that Ballston is it is probably the, if not the, close to the most senior-friendly, community that you can have. Really, there's 2,000 new apartments coming, so there's some choices there. We do have how many senior community living high rises here, 2, 3? Yep. The sidewalks are wide, you know, if you happen to find yourself disabled as you get older, you can get around in a wheelchair or whatever. There's restaurants, you know, across the street from you, there's shopping. I mean, I think this is a community it's for everybody. It's not, I tell this story. I lived here 17 years ago and I hated it. I really hated it. I felt lonely. I was in an apartment. They wouldn't let me have a dog. I'm 29. I'm single. I'm like, this is terrible. And I just said, I gotta get out of here. It didn't feel like a sense of community. Ballston has changed so exponentially over the last 15, 17 years that, I mean, I said to myself, my gosh, this is like, it's now a community for everybody. There's dogs, and there's apartment buildings that are full of dogs now. Every apartment has a dog. You know, there's kids and strollers and, you know, and there's activity. It's like, it's become so much closer to an 18 or 24-hour community and the safety level sound. It's just, everything is just so much better. I mean, I don't think you could have done better in an investment than you did if you bought before 5 years ago. I wish I had done that. Because I tell her all the time, buy now before it's but it's really, I think you really got the gem. And the way to see that is just go look around and see what else is out there. I mean, Ballston is really, it's very special.
As much as I like what's being done with Ballston Quarter, and I love it, I'd be interested in what the Arlington Bid is doing for small businesses or services. The only thing that I think is sort of missing around here is like an eye doctor, a dentist, or things like that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And we've been encouraging our property owners to work to bring in more of the service-oriented retail. We did a study last year, 2016. And we looked at our retail, especially with the advent of Ballston Quarter, to say, you know, what do we need to be doing with the rest of Ballston? You know, the rest meaning like within a 4-block radius, and what would be missing? Or I think also too, and I'll turn over to Will, that they are going to have more some service retail in the Ballston Quarter as well. But certainly there's a need for more, and that's where we try to encourage our owners. I think Fairfax Drive, you're going to see more of that. I think, you know, where we have a restaurant center, a restaurant mecca here with Ballston Quarter, that's going to be really the heart for that, for restaurants, I think, with 22 going in alone in Ballston Quarter. So Fairfax Drive has an opportunity to become maybe more with some more neighborhood services, and that's exactly what the study was talking about. Like there's still a huge need for neighborhood goods and services. So the retail. On Fairfax in particular, I think, will show that that's probably what it's going to turn to, or it may never be retail again. You may see co-working spaces, or you may see some other things in those retail spots. But certainly, and certainly we will be working to make spaces activated and attract what we need. And I'm sorry, and our Ballston 360 website directory tells you what spaces are, what's coming where. You can see exactly where all the services are, retail, restaurants, etc. But you wanted to comment further on that? I got it? Okay.
I can speak to the other side of it. Okay. Well, I can speak to the side as a small business who came here. And I think a big piece of that is one of the reasons why I'm actually going to be joining the board with the Ballston Bid to be able to bring some of that perspective, because I can tell you, you go with very limited information as you start a business or you start to move your business, and you base it on the small number of factors that are most important at the time. For me, it was cost and it was accessibility to recruitment and transportation. I wanted to be able to recruit from talent from DC, Maryland, and Virginia. It wasn't as important to me to have to serve this community. We knew our business could thrive online, but being able to identify what all the other aspects are that make this a desirable place for small businesses to be is something that I know that I want to be focused on helping get that word out. Work with Tina and her team as far as what that strategic plan looks like, and how compelling is that for a business owner who is looking at whether or not they can turn a profit in this community. It's not necessarily, business is not an altruistic endeavor. I looked here because I believed that I could start and run my business here and I could make money out of it. If we can convince other services agencies, if we can convince doctors' offices and private practice to be able to come here and show them what makes this a compelling place to be able to run their business so they can do it profitably and successfully, that's what's going, keying in on what those pieces are. What are those triggers that is going to cause somebody to decide this is the place where I'm going to go, and how do we make sure that we get it out there for people who aren't even necessarily looking? And a lot of times people come up, they wait until their lease runs up, even though I get 15 phone calls a week from people wanting to renegotiate my lease. But it's getting people to start thinking about it proactively, not in terms of, how does this transplant from where my business is now to another location, but how do I actually expand my business? How do I get access to all of the new residential that's going in? And are we able to say, what are the types of businesses that require that local aspect? How do we speak to that? That's one of the reasons why, for me personally, I was excited for the opportunity to get more involved in that, because I can bring that perspective, and I want to be able to help Arlington understand that you have to make that essentially a business argument for bringing businesses in here, and making sure that it's something that you can actually show them how they make money.
The question I have concerns a particular plot of ground as Ballston expands eastward on Wilson Boulevard, where the Gold's Gym and the Fresh Bikes is. It's my understanding that one party owns that whole tract of land. And
Your question is?
I think the question is, does anybody have any insights or information about the future of that huge tract of land?
Well, I don't have anything definitive, but we have heard discussions about it, and it seems, well, just using common sense, it seems like it's a nice next ripe piece of, it's almost a whole block, right? So, I mean, it's ripe for redevelopment. I mean, so I would say your prediction is probably correct. That would be my prediction as well, that this is, we don't know for sure. I mean, we've heard grumblings. I've gotten a phone call here and there about that site, but it's, we don't, sometimes we're the last to know officially.
I don't like to go shopping if the parking is difficult or I have to pay. So what's gonna happen in Ballston?
Parking is going to get easier and more comfortable and more convenient, but you don't need to be concerned about the cost. I mean, the way that garage is set up, it's designed to be a low-cost parking alternative, and it's going to stay that way.
But that's one garage. What about the whole expanse?
You mean the garages around the project?
I mean, that's an individual property owner, that's they set the rates, they have their, their managers that manage it, and,
Thank you.
And then on-street parking, you got Libby and John here to talk about that.
Arlington, we know has been and is a very progressive place to live in and to work in. There are some areas that could use improvement though, like for example, groups in Arlington should have membership that reflect the citizenship of the members of Arlington itself. You look at this group and it does not do that. Do you have any plans for, you haven't mentioned anything about employment in your plans, but you talk about buildings and highways and stuff. Are you focusing on getting the best people, different races, colors, employed in Arlington, in Ballston?
That's an interesting question, but we're already extremely diverse here in Ballston. I mean, Ballston and Arlington. I mean, I think Libby and John could even speak to this better than I can. I mean, as far as a county, I mean, how many languages are spoken in our schools? 90 some languages. So, I mean, I think Arlington has done an amazing job of promoting diversity. We certainly see it at our SIPA mingles. I mean, we have 200 people, and you pick a color, pick a race, pick an ethnicity, pick a religion, everybody's there. And that's what we love to see. That's what, makes our community great. We, as far as encouraging, and certainly for our board, I can speak to our board of directors. We do actively seek out, people of color, and of different, from different parts. I mean, that's what we do. So we try to do that. We actually do that. So if we were in control of of all the recruitment for workforce, we would continue to do that too. But I think we do foster that here in Ballston, that sentiment.
So the Arlington County Auditor has proposed evaluating the strategic effectiveness of all the Ballston improvement districts in Arlington, Crystal City, Ballston, and Roslyn. What do you think he's going to find? Main differences, good and bad, between the three bids?
I think he's going to find it's an extraordinary investment, and it doesn't cost the residents money. I mean, this is on the businesses pay for this, and that's the whole point. Is that and this is where Arlington is so far ahead. And look at the city of Alexandria; they can't get a bid done, and because the people don't understand that this is all good. You got businesses paying taxes to improve your neighborhoods. It doesn't come off the backs of the residences, the single family owners, the townhomes. It doesn't come off, you're not paying for it. You're getting benefits, and you're relieving the county of some duties that maybe they couldn't get done as fast as we can. And so it's a great partnership, it's a great relationship, and it evens out the tax base. You look at Alexandria, city of Alexandria, they do not have the tax base that Arlington does. And it was a huge mistake for them not to do a bid in Old Town. Huge, big mistake. It needs it. The King Street, and if you stroll King Street, it's dirty. It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of shabby. You don't have that when you have a business improvement district. You look at Roslyn, you look at Crystal City and Ballston. The neighborhoods are maintained well. They're safe. They're clean. You got nice lighting. You have beautification. Yes, I think for us, I would love to have more of this sooner. Our budget's small, We're very small compared to the other ones, but we're working on these things. I mean, we look at spots all over Ballston. The next spot we're looking at is right here, this gateway right here, to improve this and make this much more beautiful. People coming and going from Ballston, people that live here, walking the trail, we want to make it more pleasant for everybody. So that's what a bid does. I think they're going to find that this is the best investment you can make.
I have a question about a new business in Ballston and a business that disappeared. The new business is called Sprint, and it's a transportation system, and I'm wondering what your take is on that. Is it successful? Are they managing to do well? Can the people at the Jefferson retirement community call a Sprint, and can you tell us how to do it? And then the other question is, we had a wonderful single price dry cleaners right down here, and of course they disappeared with the redevelopment. Did they go somewhere nearby?
I'm not sure. I can't speak. Are you talking about with the one that was in the NSF buildings? Is that what it was?
No. There was one down on Blvd Road.
Next to Enterprise, with the Saul redevelopment. I don't know specifically. I can ask and see if they're coming back. Yeah. I mean, they and Will can speak for this more. The developers have, there's once you redevelop, you've got to meet certain financial goals. So I'm not sure what I can certainly inquire and see what happened there. Sprint is doing phenomenal. They actually had to take a hiatus because they were doing so well. They didn't have enough cars to meet the demand. And it is a free ride. You watch an ad or something. I mean, who cares? Where ads are all over the place at this point. But it's probably his ad. But yes, what needs to happen is you got to download their mobile app onto your phone called Sprint, and that's how you call. It's not a phone call anymore. So maybe what we should do is do a little, orientation with the Jefferson and maybe some of the other places around here. Show people how to use the little apps. It's so easy, but it's a little intimidating at first if you're not used to it. But so easy. I think you'll love it.
Thank you. Please join me in thanking our three panelists this evening.